It's been a difficult year for Palestinians. In Gaza, more than 180 Palestinians have been killed and thousands injured by Israeli forces. While in the West Bank, the Israeli military is demolishing a Palestinian village. The UN Special Envoy for the Middle East peace process is Nickolay Mladenov. I'm Nicole Johnston, and you're watching 101 Express. Many people would say that you have an unenviable job being the Special Envoy for the Middle East peace process. Some would say that there is no Middle East peace process. It's been dead in the water for a long time. So how do you cope with that as a job, and what's your response to that?
Well, I come from the Balkans, and I don't get shaken very easily. But no, there is no peace process. And this is perhaps one of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge that we face now, is that the lack of a political perspective to find a resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And not any resolution, but one that is based on two states and what the internationally agreed parameters are. The lack of that perspective means that people lose direction. On the Palestinian side, there's a lot of anger, growing anger, a lot of disappointment. And this easily boils out into violence. And on the Israeli side, you see a continuing expansion of settlements and related activities, particularly in the West Bank.
While there is no peace process, all year we've been hearing that the United States will present a peace plan, even though there's been no direct or indirect talks, that Palestinians aren't involved. Are you concerned that they could come up with something that's effectively a fait accompli?
Of course I'm concerned that, they talk about the deal of the century. There's another 82 years in this century, so there's plenty of time for that. But of course I'm concerned, and I think one of our biggest concerns is that whatever proposal the Americans bring to the table, that it must be based broadly on internationally agreed parameters.
We can see that the US is already starting to take issues potentially off the table, such as the right of return for refugees. Has it been a disastrous year for the Palestinians politically, with the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, the defunding of UNRWA?
It has been a very, very difficult year for the Palestinians, for all. For the political leadership, President Abbas, who sees the pressure on his entire life's work of a peace process and establishing a state being challenged. Very difficult for the people on the ground to keep the momentum of building their institutions and moving forward. Extremely difficult for the people in Gaza, who are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They've been living under Hamas's control for a decade. They've survived 3 wars. Probably another one is coming very soon.
You've said that. Do you think Gaza is on the brink of another war?
I think the danger is very, very real.
Why is that?
Because over the last 3-4 months, we've seen all of our indicators in Gaza go into the red. The humanitarian indicator going down into the red because people live with less than 3 hours of electricity per day. Hospitals barely function. There are no jobs. The economy is starved of cash because of all the measures that have been taken against Gaza. We see the security indicators go into the red as over 200 people have been killed at the protests, and the risk of incidents is very great. And we see the political prospects of a reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas slowing down.
Is Egypt also part of the problem, though? Because they do keep the Rafah border crossing closed. They are part of the siege on Gaza.
Rafah's now been consistently open for quite some time.
But it's not a full normal border crossing. It's not open 24 hours a day.
12,000 people cross.
It's a drop in the ocean, though.
It is a drop in the ocean, but at this point we need all drops in order to build a pond to have an ocean. The Egyptians have been very helpful in keeping up the reconciliation process between Fatah and Hamas going, in not providing just the political prospect, but actually providing also aid when the Gaza power station needed fuel to supply electricity. They came through. Of course, it's a very difficult process. And I'm not talking about Hamas or the leadership of this or that. The normal, ordinary people who've suffered for so long, and if they don't see that improvement.